As the echoes of the final bell still rang through the Kansas Star Arena, a unique silence fell, not the kind born of uncertainty or confusion, but one of reflection and awe. Every person in that building knew they had just witnessed something profound. But for Claressa Shields, this wasn't just another win, it was another layer added to the legend she was building, one round, one opponent, one punch at a time. Standing tall in the center of the ring, sweat streaking down her temples, gloves heavy from the night's work, Shields wore the expression of a champion who had met the moment and conquered it fully. But beneath that calm, collected exterior was a furnace of intensity. For Claressa, the mission was never just about winning, it was about redefining the boundaries of what women could do in the squared circle. The moments between the final bell and the announcement were filled with quiet moments of sportsmanship. Rankin, exhausted and marked by battle, walked toward Shields and extended her arms. The two embraced briefly, glove to glove, warrior to warrior. There was no malice, no bitterness, just mutual respect, forged in the fire of competition. Rankin may not have won on the cards, but she had earned every ounce of respect from the fans and from the woman who had just dominated her. She had taken shots that would have folded many others, stood her ground against a generational talent, and showed heart that refused to flicker even when the lights dimmed around her. As the ring announcer stepped between the two fighters, his voice boomed, announcing the inevitable. All three judges scored about 100 to 90, for your winner by unanimous decision, and still undefeated, Claressa T-Rex Shields. The crowd exploded. Fans who had traveled hundreds of miles, fans who had followed Claressa's journey from Flint to Olympic podiums and now professional stardom, they all roared, many with tears in their eyes. It was more than a win, it was a coronation. But the real story wasn't just in the scorecards or the celebration, it was in what had transpired over those 10 rounds. Shields had shown every dimension of her greatness. Her speed had been blinding, her technique as polished as any in the sport. But it was her adaptability that had truly set her apart. Every time Rankin tried something new, whether it was leading with looping shots, attempting clinches, switching angles, Shields had the answer. She made micro-adjustments on the fly, dictating range, setting traps, and executing with chilling precision. It was the kind of performance that made boxing purists nod in respect and casual fans fall in love with the sweet science. Round after round, Shields had peeled back new layers of her skill set. In the early rounds, it was her jab that stole the show, fast, accurate, disruptive. Midway through the fight, it was her combination punching that dazzled, 4, 5, even 6-punch flurries that came in blinding sequences, mixing head and body with creative rhythm. And by the final stretch, it was her mental dominance that became undeniable. She wasn't just beating Rankin physically, she was controlling her mentally, dictating every beat of the fight's rhythm. When Rankin wanted to brawl, Shields boxed. When Rankin tried to box, Shields turned the fight into a fight. Every plan Rankin had was disrupted by a mind working 2 steps ahead. And yet, none of that took away from Hannah Rankin's effort. The Scottish underdog never stopped trying. She absorbed punishment with the resolve of a warrior and fired back with every ounce of strength left in her. She was a violinist turned boxer, a scholar turned scrapper, and she brought every part of herself into that ring. Her chin, tested by one of the hardest punchers in the division, held up under constant bombardment. Her legs, even when wobbling, refused to give out. And her heart, perhaps the most valuable weapon she brought that night, never stopped beating in belief. Back in the dressing rooms after the fight, the two stories continued to unfold in parallel. Claressa, surrounded by her team, her titles, and the weight of expectations she carried like armor, allowed herself a brief moment of joy. She smiled, held her belts high, and reminded the cameras that she wasn't just here to win, she was here to dominate, to elevate, to make history one fight at a time. Her coaches patted her on the back, some teary-eyed, knowing the world had just seen what they had always believed. This woman wasn't just special, she was singular. A once-in-a-generation talent. Meanwhile, Rankin sat quietly on the edge of her bench. Her face swollen, ribs aching, but her eyes still burning with purpose. She hadn't won, but she hadn't lost in vain either. Her stock had risen. Her grit had inspired. And deep down, even as she replayed every round in her mind, she knew she had just stood across from the best in the world and given her a proper fight. Her trainers wrapped an arm around her shoulder, whispering encouragement. There would be other fights, other nights. But none quite like this. Outside the arena, fans lingered. Many clutched Claressa Shields posters, shirts, gloves. Some tried to imitate her movement, shadowboxing in the chilly air. Others talked in hushed excitement, already speculating who could challenge her next: Christina Hammer, Cecilia Brækhus, Savannah Marshall. The names floated, but the tone was the same: admiration, mixed with a touch of disbelief. How could someone so young, so early in her career, be this good already? Back inside, reporters scribbled feverishly. Headlines began forming: Shields shines bright in masterclass, Flint's golden girl too much for Brave Rankin, the era of T-Rex has arrived. Pundits argued over which round was most dominant, whether Shields had surpassed the previous generation's greats already. Some focused on her footwork, others her power. But all agreed on one thing: Claressa Shields had not just defended her title, she had elevated the sport. In the days and weeks that followed, highlights of the fight flooded social media.